Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Quantum Alignment Show for this week. I am going to be talking about, I'm not going to say something I'm really excited about because I don't get super excited about this, but it's a topic that I have a lot of big, passionate feelings about, mostly because it's a topic that I think we missed the boat on, or we missed the mark on a lot. The topic we're going to be talking about today, and this is actually the first in a three-part series. I'm going to be talking about burnout. I'm going to be talking about burnout and how you can find it and the cause of it, in particular with human design, or in conjunction with looking at and understanding your human design chart. And we're going to be exploring ways that you can learn to heal your burnout. Before we get started with the slides, and for those of you who are watching on the Zoom broadcast on the webinar, the slides are posted in the chat. So if you go down, there's a little bubble there. You can click on that and the link to the slides is there. Kristen, do you mind posting the link to the slides onto the Facebook page? Because I forgot to do that. I didn't forget to do it. I did it, but I didn't do it under here. So the slides are on the Facebook page, but Kristen will post them underneath here. I have been a life coach and a healer and, a life coach and a healer and a writer, but mostly life coach and a healer for the last 35 plus years. And in the years that I have coached people, I have found that one of the most incredible things that you can do, that as the coach, that I can do as a coach, is to help you get reconnected with the truth of who you are. The reason why this is important is I find that when you start to cultivate life experiences, belief systems, old traumas, anything that takes you away from loving and accepting yourself and seeing the value of who you are in the world, that if you're not operating from a high expression of those aspects of energies, you are probably going out in the world trying to hide who you really are, and consequently not feeling safe about who you are, and creating what I like to call protective identities that protect you from getting hurt again, but also take an enormous amount of energy to sustain and maintain in your life. So we think a lot about burnout as being a result of overworking. In fact, the American Sociological Institute talks a lot about burnout as being the result of being in a workplace where the values that you have are not aligned with your values, where you don't feel that you are cared for or empowered within the workplace, that you don't feel supported in the workplace, or that you feel overworked. And certainly that can contribute to burnout. But I really think that we miss the mark when we only talk about burnout being caused by work. I think that burnout is rooted in any kind of experience that takes away from loving ourselves and accepting ourselves and valuing ourselves. And that's a big part of what I want to talk about today. Now, I live with a 9-year-old, which is an extraordinarily beautiful thing to do. And I hope that everybody gets an opportunity to hang out with 9-year-olds at some point in their life, because 9 is a magical age. Because when you're 9, you're still rooted in the world of imagination. Right now, my daughter is very much into dragons. And she feels like her life purpose in the world is to reawaken people to magic, and that part of how she's going to do this is she's going to teach people about dragons, and help people find their own dragon and bring their dragons to life, which I think is really cool and sweet. So 9-year-olds are rooted in the world of imagination, but they're also exploring archetypes. They're beginning to enter into the adult world, and they're looking at what are they here to do? What are they here to give to the world? What's their unique place of contribution to the world? When we lose connection with that, especially when we lose connection with that because somebody said to you, oh, well, that's a nice idea, but you should do that on the side. What are you going to do to make money? Or, yeah, everybody wants to do that. You can't, only a handful of people get to do that. You can't do that. You have to go get a real job or do something real in the world, right? We get that message that fulfilling that archetype, that longing that we have to make that unique contribution of who we are in the world, it gets shut down by quote unquote real life. And we lose connection with that authentic self, which isn't just a shame, because then we spend oftentimes a lifetime trying to recapture that 9-year-old drive, right? It also causes us to leak energy and to ultimately burn ourselves out trying to carry the facade of being something that we're not. So the very first thing I want you to do before I even show you any slides today is I really want you to take some time this week and go into meditation and talk to that 9 and 10-year-old self, that you that had those dreams. It's amazing when I work with my coaching clients, how many times when we do this exercise, they remember, oh my God, that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. And how many of you are sort of secretly doing that on the side, or kind of secretly weaving that into your life and your business and your relationships. And that when you can reconnect with that energy, it gives you permission to reintegrate that part of yourself back into the story of who you are, so that you can calibrate your energy accordingly and get back into alignment with expressing the truth of who you are. So without further ado, let's start this conversation. And please feel free to post your comments below on Facebook or in the chat on Zoom, and I look forward to your questions. I do have a goal today to finish up early enough to answer some questions, because we were already getting questions before the show even started in the email. So, all right, as I said, our topic today is burnout. We're going to be exploring the role of burnout. And before we can do that, we really have to define what exactly is burnout. This definition comes from the human design chart. So if I take the whole chart and I word it up into a blender, this would be the low expression of some of the places where vitality is contained within the chart. So burnout is an energy state that keeps you from being fully engaged in life with joy. It's an energy state that keeps you from moving forward from the past. It's an energy state that keeps you from expressing your authentic potential. It's an energy state that keeps you from making your authentic contribution to the world, and an energy state that keeps you from fulfilling your destiny. The physical signs of burnout include feeling tired and drained most of the time, even if you're getting enough sleep. Lowered immunity. When you are burned out, you're the one that always gets all the colds, all the viruses going through going through the neighborhood. You're the one that flags them down and incorporates them into your experience. You get frequent headaches. In particular, you get back pain, which I think I didn't know this until recently. Makes sense, but the American Sociological Institute, which has done a lot of work on interpreting what is burnout, discovered that, according to their estimates, 65% of the American workforce is burned out. I actually think the percentage is higher. I just think the definition is a little bit different. And that people who define themselves or identify with being burned out have much more significant amounts of back pain and back injuries. Well, when you think about the back being support, the energy of support, or the carrying the archetype of support, it makes total sense that your back goes out, right? And you experience greater pain, and you actually lose work. If you're working at your job, you lose work time because of back pain. It can also cause changes in appetite and sleep habits. The other thing that can happen just physically too is you actually can, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. Hopefully it'll come back to me. Some of the emotional symptoms of burnout include self-doubt and a sense of failure, feeling helpless, trapped, and defeated, feeling detached or alone in the world, loss of motivation, cynical and negative outlook, a decreased satisfaction and sense of accomplishment. I remember now what I was going to say. It is not unusual, going back to the physical symptoms of burnout, if you are burned out, to have weird physical symptoms that no one can diagnose. And I find this a lot, especially with my projectors. that when my projectors burn out, and I do a lot of readings for projectors, and projectors tend to burn out in their late 30s, early 40s if they really are gunning it and pretending to be like generators, that oftentimes they have some kind of vague, unclear, sometimes quasi-autoimmune disorder that leaves them utterly depleted, and nobody really knows what it is. They know there's something going on there, but they don't always know what it is. So if you have any of that going on, it may be that there's an element of burnout that your body is expressing. Behaviorally, when we are burned out, we tend to procrastinate and resist. We avoid. We shut others out, mostly because, especially if you have a lot of openness in your chart or you're really sensitive, you don't have the energy for somebody else's energy field. You might find that you use food, drugs, alcohol, or other kinds of addictions to cope. If you are watching Netflix all the time, or you get stuck in what I call browser blackout, and you get on the internet to do one thing, maybe you're going to go check your bank account balance, and then 2 hours later you're like, oh, where did all the time go? Because you went down a whole bunch of different, links and rabbit holes, and maybe never even made it to check your bank account balance, right? Then you might be using, computer addiction or other kinds of addictions as a way of coping with the restlessness and the dis-ease that burnout can create. You might take your frustration out on others, especially when you think about part of what happens with burnout is we have a low grade elevated adrenaline response, which makes us hyper-reactive. And so we're trying to sustain and manage our own stress and even our own anxiety and panic sometimes as a result of burnout. And anybody else coming in, creates frustration and a response from us. Or sometimes when we're burned out, we buy into old belief systems about partnerships and relationships and how people should be supporting you. And we sometimes can inadvertently make somebody else responsible for creating our support instead of looking at where do you need to create your support for yourself within yourself. So it's easy to blame a spouse or a partner or parents if you're not feeling supported because you're depleted. Also, you can fail to show up for work or show up late and even get in trouble, right? Anytime we express the inauthentic self, we are out of alignment. And anytime we express the inauthentic self and we get out of alignment, we are burning or wasting energy trying to hold up a mask or a facade that isn't true to who we are. So let's talk about for a minute, what is the inauthentic self? The inauthentic self is anytime you live what I call off the chart, meaning your human design chart is a map or a blueprint for how you can not only obviously live a fabulous life that's aligned with your destiny and help you fulfill your potential, it's also a blueprint that shows you how you can maximize your vitality and your energy usage. The things in your chart that are defined are meaning the things in your chart that are colored in. Everything that's colored in is a consistent aspect of who you are. And it's there for you to use and live out to its fullest expression all the time. I want to redefine a concept in human design, because in human design there's a phrase called the not self, which I have reframed or redefined as the inauthentic self. And there's a lot of mythology in traditional human design that talks about when you live from or when you identify with the energy that you take in your openness, the white center. So everything in your chart that's white, that's where you're taking energy and information in from the world around you. When you are taking that energy and information in and amplifying it, it's easy to identify with it and to mistakenly think that that energy belongs to you when in fact it's being sourced from someone else. We call that the not self in traditional human design because we say that's energy that's not yours, it's not part of yourself. I want to reframe that for you a little bit, because what we sometimes neglect to talk about when we talk about openness in the chart is that wherever you have openness is also where you have potential for wisdom. The things that are white in the chart, the openness in your chart, so if we look at this chart, you'll see this particular chart, if you look at the little triangle to the bottom of the yellow diamond, that's the will center. This chart has the will center open. It has the big triangle on the right-hand side, the emotional solar plexus open, and the square at the bottom, the root center open. Okay? Whenever you have openness in your chart, it's kind of like you have a big basket. And as you go out into the world and you experience that energy in this basket, it's like you're collecting gems and you're putting it in the basket. So let's look at this particular chart. When this person goes out into the world, this person is open emotionally. So this person is experiencing all these different emotions coming at them from different people and from the world around them. And every time this person experiences these different emotions and these different emotional responses, it's like every emotional response is like a little gem, and this person can put these gems in their basket, right? The wisdom of that openness is that at a certain point you can look in the basket and go, wow, here are all the different potential ways that somebody can handle this kind of emotional energy. You can cry, you can scream, you can be calm, you can be centered, you can be dramatic, you can be joyful, you can, you're collecting all these different gems. And because you have variability in that openness, you have the ability ultimately to choose with great consciousness and deliberation how you're going to use your open energy. So the potential for the openness is the potential for choice and the potential for wisdom around that choice. So you can experience that energy and you can say, whoo, this energy, I can get on the bandwagon and play along with it. Or you can go, I'm experiencing this energy, I'm sensing it, I'm feeling it. I'm going to choose a different response to it because I have all these different options based on what I understand from my basket of gems here. I'm going to pick the gem that I like the best and use that while I'm borrowing this energy and explore that expression more deeply or more consciously or more deliberately. So I really want to be mindful when we talk about the not self, that we really understand that there's no way you can not be open if that's in your design. There's no crystal, there's no metal shield, there's no mantra, there's no nothing you can do to keep yourself from experiencing your openness. So rather than fighting it and resisting it or making it problematic, let's start talking about it as the place where you have the opportunity to choose how you're going to use that energy because you have wisdom about that energy. And that openness is just about as much a part of your authentic self as your definition. It's just there's the place in your chart where you have variability and you have freedom to choose versus in the definition, you still have variability, but the themes are going to be more fixed or more consistent. You still have the opportunity, even within that consistency, by the way, to choose to experience a higher expression of those energies versus the lower expressions. So I want us to get out of the habit of fighting our openness or thinking our openness is problematic. Everything in the chart is potentially problematic, and everything in the chart is potentially amazing based on how you choose to express yourself on the spectrum of potential. And you have an unlimited potential to express the highest aspect of who you are, and your openness is not you. It is you. But when you identify without recognizing that that's what you're doing, when you're taking in somebody else's identity, somebody else's energy, and you're thinking it's your own, that's when you get confused. And when you let that energy cause you to change your course in life or your directions or your belief systems or what is true and essential to who you are, then we start to run into problems, particularly with burnout. Because the piece that's important to understand about openness is that open energy in your chart is not sustainable. Write that down because it's so important. Okay, going back to this chart again. This person cannot sustain emotional energy over time because anything that's white is not sustainable. So if this person decided, okay, I'm going to become a very dramatic person, maybe unconsciously decided, I'm going to become a very dramatic person, this person would eventually burn out on emotional energy because that person cannot just sustain that emotional energy because it's not true to that person's innate nature. They're borrowing it, but they can't hold it. So any energy that's white in your chart is energy you can borrow, but you can't hold. And if you're starting to craft a life and an identity around your openness, you can't sustain it because that's not your energy. And your energy field itself can't hold on to it over a prolonged period of time. The more you live off the chart, the greater opportunity or chance you have for experiencing pain, suffering, and physical illness. Human design shows us our relationship between our vitality and our unique energy configuration. Now, when we look at this, and we look at the G center as the center for direction in the chart. The G center, when we look at the gates, and this isn't about your individual G center, so don't start looking at your chart and go, well, I don't have this and I don't have that. I'm talking about the chart in general as an archetype or a blueprint for the human story. The G center contains within it the potential for our identity as human beings and the potential for the direction that our identity can take us. We are by design, in order to express the fullest potential of who we are designed to love ourselves. We are designed to be powerful and to feel powerful or empowered. We are designed to, by virtue of our existence, meaning your existence is the unique contribution that you're here to make to the world. It's not what you do, by the way. This is not a motor. The G center is not a motor. Who you be in the world is the contribution that you're here to give the world. So when you start thinking about what's my life purpose, it has nothing to do with what you do and everything to do with who you are. You are your life purpose. Your life is the canvas upon which you express your life purpose. And for some of you, it might be related to your job or your entrepreneurship or your volunteer work or whatever. But ultimately, it's not about what you do. It's about who you are. You are designed, we are all designed to redefine the story of who we are each and every day. And the important part about that is that when we do forgiveness, meaning when we don't keep ourselves locked into old stories from the past, we liberate ourselves to create deliberately and not react. And we also free up the energy that we're using to protect old wounds and traumas when we don't do forgiveness. We are designed to take our direction in life from our connection to spirit as source. And when we can stay connected to spirit as source, we recognize that our individual life is a tiny aspect of a bigger whole. And that when we recognize that that whole, that entirety of what we are a part of, depends on us playing our vital role, we can begin to value ourselves more greatly and value the role that we're playing in the cosmic plan, and consequently, hopefully, take better care of ourselves, because it's not just about us anymore. It's about the role that we play in the cosmic plan of humanity or the world. We are designed to be physically vital, and that vitality comes from alignment with the true story of who we are. We are designed to love ourselves enough to take care of our physical form and to nurture our physical form in ways that are sustainable. So sometimes people say to me, well, I do self-care. You know, I sat back, I had a couple of glasses of wine, and I am not criticizing anybody that's having a glass of wine. I also have a glass of wine once a week. It's Friday, I get to have my glass of wine, right? But if you're turning to behaviors, consistently turning to behaviors as a coping skill that don't sustain your health and well-being over time, and you're not making choices that sustain your vitality, you are not acting in a way that loves yourself and sustains your energy. You are designed to be vital in your body. That doesn't mean you won't get sick. It doesn't mean that you might not even ever have a chronic ailment. You might, but you can be vital and still have a chronic ailment. That's about harnessing life force and expressing it, all right? You are designed to, by virtue of your existence, be supported to receive all the resources that you need to do what you came here to do. Meaning you are designed to allow yourself to be supported, which is usually the big place where we have a bugaboo. We don't have a problem with the idea. We have a problem with the allowing of the idea, because we think we're not worth it, or we don't love ourselves enough, or there's some sort of shame in receiving, right? And we are designed to make and live in a way that is compassionate. We are designed to share and to be in fellowship with each other. When we live out these highest aspects of the G center, we awaken the potential for greater vitality and greater drive, and ultimately get greater creative life force that sustains us. If we resist any of these aspects, anytime we resist any of who we are, including, by the way, our warts, okay? Meaning, if you are resisting those parts of yourself that maybe need a little bit more work, those places where maybe you struggle a little bit, you know? I'm taking this class right now, and every 2 weeks we work on a new concept, and during the month of December, oh my God, it was a nightmare. We worked on maintaining peace in the home. I had such a hard time with that one. That was so difficult. And the more I beat myself up about not maintaining peace in my home, you know, it was the holidays. I had to hang out with my parents and my brother and my sister and all the kids. It was very stressful for me personally. The more I resisted myself and my little human being who was trying very hard to maintain an even strain during all of that, the worse it got, right? When we resist even the parts that we think are less than beautiful or acceptable, when we resist ourselves, we spend a lot of energy resisting. Resisting takes a lot more energy than allowing, okay? It takes a lot more energy to do this than it does to do this. When we resist, we lose our sustainability and our resiliency. So sometimes we're in burnout because we're resisting ourselves. And maybe it's because we have a judgment about who we think we are. So, as I said, this is the first of 3 programs I'm going to do about burnout. Today, I want to just do a brief overview of what I'm going to call the 4 root areas of healing burnout. And then I will continue with looking at, in the next couple weeks, looking at elements in the chart that create a theme of burnout and other ways that we can heal burnout. But before we do that, I'm going to let the dog in. So hold on a second. As my life is ruled by the dog. It's just true. All right, the 4 root areas of healing burnout. The first thing we want to look at is resiliency. How much bounce back do you have when life rolls something unexpected to you? How much creative capacity do you have to be able to stay on track for creating what you want in your life? Period, question mark. How much energy do you have? Anytime, if we took the entire human design chart, and if I threw the whole thing in a blender and I blended it up, I would pull out of that chart 9 core archetypes. These archetypes are associated with the centers, the gates on the centers, the circuits, the profiles, and the types. So if I took it all into this blender and pulled stuff out, I would pull out these 9 core archetypes. For you to be resilient in life, meaning for you to really create in a way that's conscious and deliberate and aligns your energy most effectively, you have to be living out the highest expression of these 9 core resiliency keys. Those keys are lovability, your own perception of how lovable you are and how open you are to sharing love with the world. Empowerment, meaning how much power do you feel like you have over your own life? How powerful do you feel? How empowered are you? The third one is courage. How much do you know? How well do you manage fear in your life and use the messages of fear to help you create something new, to help you get out of your comfort zone, to help you grow? Or do you let fear hold you hostage? I did a whole class last week on fear, which I got a lot of great feedback for that. And so I won't be doing it this month, but in the end of March and April, I'm going to start talking about the different centers and looking at some of the more positive, empowered aspects of the chart rather than looking at some of the more negative things that we like to talk about a lot for some reason. So courage, if you want to learn more about how to be more courageous, watch last week's Quantum Alignment show. Decisiveness is the 4th one, the ability to know how to make good choices for yourself in the way that's right for you. So this is all about living your type and following your strategy. Being authentic. When you are authentic, it means that you are free and you feel free to express the truth of who you are out into the world, and you're not hiding yourself, okay? And you're not being something or someone that you're not. Emotional wisdom is the ability to understand how to use emotional energy to calibrate your heart and to be deliberate with the use of emotional energy for the sake of creativity rather than being reactive, meaning reacting, living out over and over again the same old story because you haven't dealt with the forgiveness and the old traumas. Resiliency includes taking care of your body and staying staying rooted in your energy and taking, being vital and nurturing your body consistently. There is rest built into this chart, okay? Rest is built into the human blueprint. It's not a mistake that we have days of rest in many religions. It's crucial to staying healthy and vibrant in the world. And if you're not feeling that you're valuable enough to allow yourself to rest, you're shortchanging your ability to recalibrate yourself and your vitality and your energy. Self-trust, your ability to trust yourself and your own inner wisdom, is also key to staying resilient in the world and staying connected to the value of who you are and that irreplaceable vital role that you play in the cosmic plan that makes it meaningful and important for you to recognize that you deserve to have energy, support, vitality, rest, resources, companionship, community, all those things that we need to stay rooted in a high quality of energy are also rooted in sustaining and maintaining a high quality of your value. Now, I'm throwing this out here like, hey, just become lovable, empowered, courageous, decisive, authentic, be emotionally wise, leverage your energy, take care of your body, trust yourself, and grow in your self-worth. Like, click your heels together 3 times and poof, you got that, right? I'm looking at your comments on Facebook. And so, yes, you can create the highest expressions of these energies, for sure. But it does sometimes take a little bit of time. That's actually really why I created the quantum alignment system, because I recognized after 35 years of working as a coach that it wasn't so easy to just change your mind, change your state of lovability, or, take a little blue pill and poof, voila, now you love yourself. I know that sometimes these energies are rooted not only in our own experiences, but even in our genetic programming and our ancestral memories. So the quantum alignment system actually has a very beautiful protocol that walks you through, and some of you have been through this in the master alignment programs, walks you through clearing anything that might be keeping you from experiencing the highest expression of these 9 resiliency keys. Good, cool. The second thing, and this is a piece that surprises me a lot. It doesn't surprise me because it makes sense, but it surprises me a lot. When I did about a year and a half ago, I did an abundance program, and it was a master alignment program, abundance program. It was abundance activation program. And obviously it's an abundance program, and when you're teaching an abundance program, there's obviously people in the program who are struggling with abundance. And so I made the class available on a sliding scale basis. And when I taught the class, I was really, frankly, sadly surprised and shocked to find that a lot of people in the program had some really significant unhealed trauma. And that the degree of unhealed trauma was so significant that it was impairing people's ability to create and receive financial and other kinds of prosperity and abundant support. So that really got me doing some investigating over the last year, and I started surveying all the people in all the master alignment programs that I taught. And what I found was, and I don't think that this is exceptional to my students, I think this is probably data that can be translated universally across a lot of planes. What I found was that 85% of the people in my classes reported that they were either, especially for women, either victims of sexual assault trauma or perceive themselves as being victims of childhood emotional abuse. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I think what happens for us is when we don't treat our trauma, when we don't heal the trauma, and it's not like you're doing it to yourself. Sometimes the circumstances in our lives don't support us being able to figure out how to do it, or the techniques being used don't do it, or sometimes, again, the economic pain that comes from being traumatized makes us not be able to afford support and healing. I think that when we don't really pay attention to, sometimes this trauma has to be healed because we're using so much energy defending ourselves from being re-traumatized and staying in that low-grade state of stress and pain. We burn out because we haven't healed the trauma. And so certainly, really exploring for yourself, if you have unhealed trauma, is there some aspect of your unhealed trauma that's keeping you from tapping into the full expression of your vitality? Are you using your energy to keep yourself safe because you're still in, you know, a variation of PTSD, maybe a low-grade version? And is that self-protection keeping you from tapping into the full potential of your vitality? The third thing that I think contributes to burnout, and we'll talk about this too a lot during the month of February because we're coming up on Valentine's Day, and I'm going to start trotting out a lot of really cool information about how you can support yourself and your partner getting your energy needs met. When we don't learn at a young age how to appropriately get our needs met, when we don't learn how to say things like, hey, I'm really needing some attention from you, Mom, right now. Or we don't learn how to say things like, because we can't as children, you know, your 2-year-old is not going to say to you, hey, Mom, I'm feeling a little disenfranchised in the way this family structure is rolling, and I'm really not getting to express my need for power appropriately, so I'm going to not eat my peas for dinner, and I'm going to make you suffer because of it, right? We can't always articulate appropriately when we're young what we need. When we don't learn how to appropriately get what we need, we learn how to ask for what we need and want, we start to engage in what I call mischief in our relationships and our partnerships as a way of getting these needs met in inappropriate ways. Now, there are things in the human design chart, and we'll talk some more about this in one of the next, I don't know if it's the next one, maybe the third one, in the next show about burnout. We'll talk about things in the chart that create energy needs. So, for example, if you have an undefined throat, or you have a non-motorized throat, or you, in other words, if you're a projector, generator, or a reflector, you have a higher than average, maybe not more than average, need for attention. You need to be recognized and seen in order to be heard, right? And if over the course of your life, nobody has really supported you in feeling seen and heard, and they've shut you down, or they've ignored you, or they've told you be quiet, and you never learned that it was okay for you to get attention and recognition, you may have gone underground with that need, and you might be using your energy to get your attention needs met in inappropriate ways. Maybe you're creating drama. Maybe you're using a lot of energy pushing and pushing and pushing until somebody sees you. Maybe you're crafting an identity that's really, really good, and everybody thinks you are the best good person in the world, when underneath you're really not that good, and you really don't want to do the things that you're doing, but you've learned that if I do this, then I get attention for being good. Okay, there's lots of little things that we do. Anytime you are using inappropriate strategies to get your energy needs met, you are creating mischief, and you're also using an inordinate amount of energy trying to get what you need inappropriately. So we're going to explore human design types. We're going to explore centers. We're going to explore energy needs by type, and start looking at how can you revise the way you go about expressing your needs in the world so that you're using appropriate ways to get your energy needs met and not burning yourself out trying to get your energy needs met in a way that uses a lot of energy and exhausts you. So we're going to start a little bit today by going through the energy needs for the types. And I will post, I will actually repost, I posted these last year, but I'll repost them again on the Facebook page, a series of articles that I wrote called Love by Type. And we'll look at love by type, and you can explore what you need to feel loved and seen and heard in your partnerships, and also what your partner needs to feel loved and seen and heard in relationships, so that you are using your energies appropriately and in a way that supports you maximizing your energy expenditure. So manifestors, let's start with our manifestors. Manifestors need freedom and power. If you are a manifestor in your relationships, you need the freedom to go follow your own inner creative directive. You need to be informed, and you need support in managing anger. Anger for the manifestor happens when the creative flow gets interrupted. So if you're a manifestor, you have an internal nonverbal creative flow. You need to have the freedom to follow that flow. And honestly, people, those are my beautiful, beautiful manifestors here. You know that no matter how hard you try, sometimes you forget to tell people what you're going to do because it's not natural, okay? It's not natural for a manifestor to have to do that. And for you to be in a relationship or in relationships that are healthy and supportive, you need partners that are going to be like, oh, that's just my manifestor love. She forgot to inform. She's off doing her own thing. And they're not going to react at you with anger and interrupt your creative flow because now they're mad because you didn't follow through on the plan, right? So you need partnership that can support and help you manage your anger. You need freedom, and you need to also be informed so that when you're creating, you need to take into account as you're creating what else is going on around you, okay? So number 2, generators. Generators need to feel capable. The goal of the generator is to become masterful of the material world through repetition, consistent repetition, doing things again and again and again. Remember, the generator is the worker bee, and part of their work is to express their mastery. They need to feel capable. And what happens a lot of times is if we don't give our generators opportunities to explore and experiment and learn and try and fall down and learn and try and get stuck and then get frustrated and keep going. If we, let's say if you're a parent of a generator child and they get frustrated, you know, and then you come in and you're like, oh, you're frustrated, and you do it for them. Not only do we interrupt their generator process, we actually rob them of the experience of feeling capable. Generators also need recognition and attention, okay? And they need to be asked yes or no questions so that they can stay in connection with their sacral. They need support to manage frustration. And if they're not getting any of these things, they may start engaging in inappropriate behaviors to help get their energy needs and their emotional needs met inappropriately, all right? The manifesting generator needs freedom, just like a manifestor, power and capability. So they have the same needs as the manifestor, plus the needs of the generator. So if you're a manifesting generator and you're in a relationship, whether it's with parents or with children or a partner, you need to be free to follow that creative flow. And your partner needs to give you the freedom and to recognize that, again, sometimes you're going to forget to inform because manifesting generators also need to inform. You also need to be asked yes or no questions, and you need support in managing frustration and anger. And I might even add one more thing here. The biggest thing we can do to burn out manifesting generators, this one drives me nuts, is to, and this is actually true for people who have an open G center as well. When we tell a manifesting generator, you need to just pick one thing and stick with it, and we don't give them the freedom to multitask and to understand that the purpose of that multitasking is to support them in burning off their energy, what happens is that energy goes here, and then it goes here, and it starts whacking away at the thyroid, and it whacks away at the endocrine system, and it actually causes the manifesting generator to burn out. If you're a manifesting generator and you're trying to just do one thing because people told you should just pick one thing, and you're trying to jam yourself into a little box, then you burn out. If you're a manifesting generator, you're going to do a lot of things simultaneously. You might not have success at every single thing you're doing, because the purpose of every single one of those things is not to have success. It's to burn off extra energy so you don't fry your thyroid. So you need people who are going to go, hey, honey, go for it, do it all, and who can support you in recognizing that that's a vital thing that's necessary for you to burn off your extra energy so you stay healthy and vital. All right, good. Cool. Projectors. I see you, Nikki. Nikki, I want you to do as many things as you feel inspired to do, okay? All right, good. Projectors. Projectors will burn out first and foremost because they have an undefined sacral and they try to be super generators. The projectors tend to start to hit that edges of burnout, and sometimes it can be pretty massive around the ages of their late 30s into their 40s. By the way, manifestors can do this too, but they tend to do this later, more towards 50. Projectors need recognition and attention. If you love a projector, make sure you create space in your relationship and in your life with your projector. Just sit and listen to them. They need this as part of their decision-making process, and they need it because it helps them feel precious and valuable. And the most important thing for a projector to have intact when they go out into the world, for them to receive the invitations that they deserve, is their own sense of value and their preciousness. This is true for any human being. It's exceptionally true for the projector, all right? So they need help with feeling precious and valuable, and the most important gift you can give a projector is recognition and attention, and helping them be able to communicate appropriately about when they need that recognition and attention. They will also sometimes need help with bitterness, and they need to talk, which means you need to, as a partner for a projector, be able to be present to that talking. And if you can't be present to that talking, you need to tell your projector, because they're so flippant intuitive. They'll know if you're just sitting there going, okay, when's it gonna be done? They know that. They know when you're just tolerating them, okay? So what I want you to practice doing is saying to your projector, I love you, and I've got these 10 things that I need to get done right now, and I really want to hear what you have to say because it's important to me. Can we make some time this afternoon? Maybe at 2 o'clock we'll meet in the kitchen. I'll get some cookies out. We'll sit. Let's talk. All right? Make space for your projector, and make space in your heart to be able to be fully present to your projector. Reflectors need time, attention, recognition, and consistency. They need consistency in your response, and they need to be exposed to your aura. If they are with you, if they are in relationship with you, they need that consistency. If you're a reflector, you need to have people in your energy field whose auras you know, who give you that sense of energetic consistency, that support you in feeling free to relax into energy that you understand. Reflectors oftentimes will shield themselves and block energies they don't know because they get disappointed by other people. And so they need a core group of friends around them to support them in staying fully present, and that an energy field that they know they can rely on. So they need help to understand their sensitivity. They need somebody who sometimes from the outside can ask them, are you merging with somebody else's energy, and is that confusing you? And they need help with disappointment. It's disappointing when you're a reflector sometimes, when you look out into the potential of what humanity could be doing and you see what they're actually doing. Sometimes as a reflector, that's a disappointing experience. Good. All right, cool. All right, last but not least, this is my last comment for today, and then I'm going to tackle some of your questions. I see that they're coming in on Facebook and also in the chat. Your belief systems can sometimes burn you out. If you have beliefs about life is hard, or the only way to be successful is to work hard, and that you have suffering as part of your life journey, if you struggle with any kind of belief system that goes against believing that life can be easy and joyful or meaningful, then your own belief systems can cause you to burn out. So I do encourage you, I encourage you to explore, especially as we go through this material over the next couple of weeks, not months, weeks. I really want you to explore your belief systems. Do you believe that you can rest? What beliefs do you have around work? Think about some of the things we say that are nuts, right? Idle hands do the work of the devil. Really? Is that true? I doubt it. As somebody who has been accused several times this week of being part of the Illuminati, I will tell you, the devil has no love for idle hands, okay? So I'm not part of the Illuminati, by the way. Don't panic. Your belief systems, take a catalog of your belief systems. Look and explore. What do you think and what do you believe, all right? Good. I know some of you are noticing this picture. This was my daughter when I think she was like 4 or 5. For some reason, she's wearing bicycle gloves and raspberries on the ends of her fingers. She's an interesting person. All right, so I want you at the end of this presentation, which is coming up very soon, to think about what is, in all this conversation that we've had today, what do you think has created your burnout? Take some time and really reflect on what we've talked about today and really explore for yourself, where do you think maybe you need to do some work on your burnout? What do you think might be the root cause that created your burnout in the first place? Now, I have 2 things I want to share with you. First of all, just really quickly, The Quantum Alignment System Level 1 certification, this is the professional level certification that actually gives you the training to help people work through bringing out the highest expression of the 9 resiliency keys. This system, level 1 system, which starts in March. We start in March. We're going to be meeting for 8 2-hour lessons in the evenings, Central Time. In conjunction with that, you're going to be tapping with a partner and going through all of the systems, so you'll be trained as a level 1 quantum alignment system practitioner. This program is on sale. It's normally $1,197. It's on sale right now for $997. And if you want to bring a buddy, you can join with a buddy, 2-for-1 deal, and take this new system. I'm experimenting in March with a new teaching format that I think is going to support people in integrating the information much more deeply. And if you register before next Wednesday, you will be eligible to be what we call a receiver in our Quantum Alignment System Level 3 training next week. Next week, I'm taking practitioners to a retreat in Wimberley, Texas. We're going to be working for 5 days on higher level protocols for the system. We're actually going to be going through all the circuits and all the gates. If you sign up for the Quantum Alignment Level 1, you can come in the afternoons to the open tapping sessions and work with a practitioner who is in training and explore tapping on your gates, your circuits, etc. So this is a great opportunity for you to also deepen your own healing and alignment. If you want to join the Level 1 program, just shoot me an email, Karen@quantumalignmentsystem.com, which is the new website, if you haven't had a chance to check that out. The next thing I just want to bring to your awareness, I am leading a retreat with Michelle Vandepass through our quantum business group called The Matrix. And on this retreat, we're going to be going to Ojo Caliente, New Mexico, which is a sacred healing site. This is ancient hot springs, healing hot springs, phenomenal location. We will be meeting for 3 days, April 4th through 6th. We're only taking 12 people with us. We have 10 people signed up. There's 2 more spots available. This is for you if you need a serious injection of energy, if you need a serious pivot in your creative capacity, if you are working on a project like a book, or you're launching a business, or you're in any way really working on getting yourself out into the world in some way, shape, or form. You want to activate your life purpose through your work or through your mission. This retreat is for you. Sharon posted Ojo is Heaven. Sharon came to our retreat a couple of years ago. So again, I have 2 spots open. If you're interested in that, check it out, thematrix.world/retreats. So go check it out, see if you resonate with that. If you want to be there, let me know. We'll make sure we have room for you. That's it. That's all I have for you today. So I'm going to get out of here and take questions and comments.
I've been taking the questions.
Good.
In order from both the Zoom and the Facebook page. So I'm going to just go through them until we run out of time.
Okay, awesome. Ooh, we have 5 minutes. We did it.
Gavin says, since I burned out way before 9 years old, I never dreamed about the future. Is there a different way of addressing this?
Totally. And Gavin, what I would say is you've already been doing some of this in your work in the Master Alignment programs. I know you've been in there a lot. Certainly just connecting with your 9-year-old isn't necessarily going to be like the thing that gives you the breakthrough. It might give you insight, and that's the piece that I really want you to be mindful of. It's going to give you some insight. It's probably not going to be the thing that heals you, but I do want you to, I think you and I have done a little bit of that even on our Master Alignment calls, getting back in touch with, that person, that dreamer. Here's the other piece that I want to say, this in terms of activating your dreams and reconnecting with the power of dreaming, which by the way is a very energizing thing to do. You will reawaken your capacity to dream when you decrease your cortisol response or your stress response. When we are so trained and we are so entrained by adrenaline in our culture, we forget how to connect to what I call fundamental creativity, because we get up in our head, or we think it's not possible, or we're like in this defensive response all the time that I talked about when you have unhealed trauma. You do have to address the trauma. There's no way around that. And you can augment it by also doing self-care, doing things that create a state of relaxation and rejuvenation. And that doesn't have to be go to the spa or go to a hot springs resort. That's awesome. And I encourage that if you can. And if you can't, that can be something as simple as going for a walk with your dog, not today in Minnesota, but going for a walk with your dog, taking a nice hot bath, using lovely essential oils and taking a nap with a nice warm fuzzy blanket. It can be reading something lighthearted and fun, like a graphic novel that's, go on a date with yourself to the dollar store and buy a bunch of glitter and glue and work on a creative project. One of the things we did last year in our Human Design Conference is I set up an art table, because there's something about engaging in that activity that is not just about awakening your creativity as a artistic endeavor. It's actually shifts your focus into this creative expression. It gets you out of your logical mind and out of that adrenaline response and allows you to access not only creative fun, but a different degree of creative connection and can reconnect you back with your dreams. So Gavin, I want you to go play. How's that?
Great. If you're very open, including you have an open solar plexus and your spouse is suffering burnout, can the energy of burnout be amplified in me?
Yeah, totally. And so be mindful of that and kind of know where that's coming from, because you may need to create a different space for yourself. And yeah, I'll tell you, here's another thing about relationships, and I have definitely learned this the hard way. You can't flog a partner into being more vital. If they're burned out, they've got to heal their own burnout, and you'll spend a lot of energy dragging them forward, right? So don't burn yourself out trying to re-inspire them. What you can do instead is invite them to join you in fun. Really focus on fun instead of the heavy stuff that sometimes I think we focus on. So good.
All right, this is more of a technical question. When you say pull out archetypes, if you blended up the 9 centers, do you mean that each of these bullet points under resiliency would be one archetype, or that you look at each of these bullet points under the influence of each center and how these express in each center?
The latter. So, for example, if we looked at lovability, we know that lovability is oftentimes sourced in the G center. So we would say the things that contribute to lovability include self-love. And this is the gate, this is starting at the gate 10, going around counterclockwise, looking at the themes of the gates. The things that influence lovability are your degree of self-love, how powerful you feel, how open you are to understanding that you are a contribution to the world, your willingness to do forgiveness, your connection to spirit and source, your love of your body, your relationship with allowing yourself to be supported, and your relationship with compassion and sharing. Those key elements, those come straight from the chart, contribute to expanding and experiencing the energy of lovability.
Is the answer to burnout simply be yourself?
Yes, over time. It takes a little bit of time. Sometimes, here's the thing, when we look at the physiology of burnout, especially if you've gone into adrenal fatigue or adrenal burnout, there's nothing you can do there might, obviously, on the quantum level, you can totally transcend that and heal yourself in an instant. And most of us have a belief system that requires of us to take the time to heal the burnout. And I usually tell people it can take as long to heal the burnout as it did to create it, especially if you've pushed through it with energy you don't have. So it really does take sometimes 6 to 8 months of really deep, really good, consistent extra sleep. It means sometimes you have to make some really significant dietary changes that reduce inflammation in the body. It means you might need to cut back, for some of you, cut back on things like working out really hard, because that actually depletes the adrenals if you have the energy for that. It can take some time sometimes to recalibrate your energy field. And, that's, again, why I really love working with the quantum alignment system, because it's an integrated approach that works on not just behaviors, but it also works on clearing the body and the emotional field on an energetic level, and works with subtle body therapies that help augment and hold the energy changes in place so that you can continue to make those healing choices while you're also allowing your energy field to recalibrate itself. So the Monday, I think that's Monday, the center connected with the adrenals is the root center and the emotional solar plexus, especially if those two are connected.
Awesome. What do you see as the difference between healing and seeking to fix?
Well, healing is bringing yourself back into alignment with who you are. I don't think anybody's broken, so I don't know if I would use the word fix ever. Because fixing implies brokenness. I don't think there's brokenness. I think there's just misalignment.
Okay, here's a fun question. We have a 5/1 manifestor with the gate of the queen who always wanted to be a queen when she grew up, but because our world is being run by projectors and generators are building the world, we don't need queens anymore. So what is she, how can she find her place in the world?
So the queen, the gate of the queen is also the gate of contribution. It's a different kind of a contribution. The queen and the archetype of the queen, it's the queen that distributes resources for the greater good of the whole. And so in human design, the gate of the queen is also the gate of the teacher, or somebody who is here to share. And for you, with your power that you carry as the queen, you're here to share what you know and what you have and who you are with the world. And that's not really being a queen per se. That's the way in which you serve the world. So you help the world by giving the world or sharing with the world the resources they need. And don't think for a second that they don't need it, because they do. As a manifestor, you're an initiating force. You're a wake-up call. Your existence is a wake-up call to the rest of us. So wake us up, please, and share with us everything that you know.
Awesome. So
the gate of the queen, hold on, Sandra, the gate of the queen is gate 45.
Yes. Where can I start and continue to create a heart-mind partnership and increase my lovability? Heart-mind,
I'm assuming within yourself. So I would say I would really invite you to look out for our next master alignment program, where we actually use the quantum alignment system and do the actual system and go into the tapping and the other parts of the system that we use. If you go to the quantumalignmentsystem.com webpage, there are quantum alignment practitioners listed there, and they are incredibly well, I don't want to say well trained, they are very well trained, but they also bring to the table their own amazing healing capacities. I have had the incredible blessing of training some powerful, powerful healers. So go there and check out the quantum alignment practitioners and see if maybe you want to work with somebody privately. As I said, the master alignment programs are a really, really great way to do that. And in the meantime, you know, just a very simple exercise can be doing something as simple as asking the following question and journaling about it. So write this question down. What needs to be healed, released, aligned, and brought to my awareness for me to fully activate the full potential of my lovability in the world? Or if you want to make it even more simpler, what needs to be healed, released, aligned, and brought to my awareness for me to love myself deeply?
Awesome. And then our last question is, do you have a diet plan for each of the archetypes?
I don't, because I don't believe in diet plans. I really don't. For a lot of reasons. One being the chart itself is changing, so the nature of how we eat as human beings is changing. The planet itself has different dietary requirements. And I really believe that the purpose of Inner Authority is to help you connect with what's right for you, and your diet and your dietary needs may change depending on what's going on in your life. So for example, if you are in adrenal fatigue, you know, you may need to adopt an eating plan that decreases inflammation in your body. And there are a lot of different plans and a lot of different supplements that support releasing and healing inflammation in the body. And I just feel that it's not appropriate to lock us into a dogma around certain types, eat certain kinds of foods. because it's not, and I'm telling you this as a background with my background in nursing. When you think about food as being energy, and different foods carry different vibrational frequencies, you're going to need different vibrational frequencies at different times in your life for different needs, for different healing purposes, and your own body and your own wisdom knows what's right for you. And if you're struggling with connecting with that, I would really encourage you, especially if you're dealing with a serious burnout issue that's gotten onto the physiological level, go get some support from somebody who can really help you figure out what's the right way for you to eat. So, good.
Okay. And the very, very last question is, I do love myself. I just don't expect other people to. So how can they increase the love they receive from other people?
So that's also a master alignment question. That's certainly something we would work on, master alignment. My guess is that there's a lot to unpack in that question. My guess is that there is a possibility that there's a history there behind why you don't expect other people to love you. And that may be an unhealed trauma that needs to get unpacked. And that would be where I would encourage you, Gina, to begin to explore first. You know, where might you be holding on to old stories, old traumas that are keeping you in that expectation that other people can't love you. So.
Awesome.
Good. All right. I want to thank you all very much for joining me today. I am looking forward to part 2, which will not happen next week because next week I'll be teaching. Next week we will have a guest host. Elaine Correa will be here talking about, what's Elaine going to be talking about? I know I read it and I forgot. Elaine always does really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's on relationships, so stay tuned.
Ooh, so getting ready for Valentine's Day. Elaine's going to be talking about relationships. And I will be back with the second part the following week, the 15th. And I will also be doing a live here in Minneapolis. So if you're in Minneapolis, I will be doing a live burnout event at 4:30 p.m. Central on Friday, February the 15th, which I will live stream. So I'll give you guys information about that as well. So we'll be doing another live event about burnout at that point. So stay tuned, more information about burnout. I'll also post the Love by Type articles over the next couple of days. Kristen, thank you as always for being my right-hand wing woman. And you guys have a great weekend. And I will see some of you next week in Texas. And for those of you who I won't see, have a great couple of weeks and I'll see you on the 15th. Bye.
Bye.